Welcome to the Change Energizer Hot Seat Podcast. This is a place where leaders are dropped into the hot seat to open up about high-stake wins and reveal the trust X factor behind their triumphs. I'm your host, Scott Carley, the Trust Energizer, and I believe the confidence people have in the way you show up, your character, and your expertise is the real game changer. When trust is high, people and teams don't just perform, they pull off legendary Super Bowl wins. Today's guest is Ralph Peterson, the unapologetically pro manager of nursing home leadership. You call Ralph when you want your nursing home to have award-winning QAPI and quality award programs. So welcome to the show. We're glad to have everybody here today. And Ralph, we are super glad to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you being here. In our audience, Ralph wrote the foreword to my book, Can I Trust You? And he was also, oh, there it is. Come on, man. I love it. And he has a writing program that I am in every Monday morning, Monday and Thursday, and just was a tremendous help in helping me publish my book. And so we're always very thankful for that. But you are a marathon runner. How many marathons has Ralph run?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. So I like to say how many marathons I've run, which is 92.
Wow.
But officially, in the books, I think because they, during COVID and stuff, they shut down all those races. So officially, any virtual marathon you ran didn't count, but I still did them. You know what I'm saying? So my number is 92, but officially I think it's 87 that counted.
Yeah. And how many states have you run a marathon in?
I've done 45. I just did my 45th state, which was Nevada. I did Las Vegas, Nevada in October, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. So I am envious about all of that. I have done 2 marathons, the Turkey Trot in Austin twice, and it's a 5-mile marathon. We do 5 miles. A marathon
5 miles is not a marathon. You misspoke. But running is great, no matter what the distance. I mean, I started out, just trying to run between telephone poles.
Yeah. Well, I like it, and it is very energetic, and you feel so much better about yourself and in your body when you get out there and hit the road a little bit.
Indeed.
So tell our audience what you do and who you serve. What's your business?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I'm most known for, what I'm passionate about the most is leadership. And I'm really interested in how to get better at it, how to be the best manager, what it means to what does management even look like on paper, trying to figure out how to even draw. Like, you should be able to draw, like I could draw any type of a process. And it took me a long time to realize, like, I don't have a visual representation of what even leadership looks like. So starting there, just like, all right, let me figure out how to actually draw leadership. Because then I can understand it. I'm a hands-on learner. And by the way, I work in long-term care and nursing home, senior assisted living centers. And the thing about people like me, and I grew up in long-term care, meaning I started at the very bottom and like worked my way up into long-term care. Most of us in long-term care are hands-on learners. And that's important for me to say, because for a long time, I thought of myself that I was just kind of dumb, because people would try to explain things to me and it like go right over my head. And it would take me extra long to learn things, and take some people real easy to learn it. They'd be like, let me just explain it to you and you get it. And I'm like, I need a little bit more than just you explaining it to me. And it took me a long time to realize what type of a learner I am, and that I'm a hands-on learner. And what that actually means is that I need to be able to either do it or explain it. I don't need to physically do it. I'm a hands-on learner
too.
Yeah.
I like to be in the middle of it.
Yeah. So teaching then became my superpower, because once I started to learn that the way that I learn is by teaching, I was like, oh, right? So that's how I got into the management development and the coaching part, because the more I'm able to explain, the more I understand it myself. And that's how I started really not only becoming a leadership development coach, but really fine-tuning my own abilities as a manager. And I am unapologetically pro manager. I know people, right, like you'll go on LinkedIn and I see it all the time. Employees don't quit organizations, they quit bad bosses. And I say BS. Like, what are you talking? Like, I've had a ton of bosses, a ton of managers, and I've worked with a ton of people, and I've had a ton of employees, and it's not even close. It's not even close. People who say, yes, you can rely on me. Yes, I'll be in charge. Yes, I'll be responsible, which is what a manager does, versus those who say, no, I'm not responsible for anything. It's not even a close competition. I would bet all of my money, whatever, on people who say, yes, I'll be responsible, as opposed to those who say, I don't ever want to be in charge. You're kidding me if you think that there's more poor managers out there than there are poor employees. As a matter of fact, it is so lopsided that it's hard to be a manager because there's so many poor employees.
Yeah.
My opinion, in my experience.
Well, you have said something before, and I'm going to get to that in just a second, but you also have used manager leader interchangeably.
Yeah.
Somebody might argue with you about that. So tell me what that means.
Yeah, no, I don't use them separately. I do agree that there is a difference between management and leading, especially because in managing, you can manage things. I'm using it to talk about managing people, which you can manage people as well. And leaders are those that don't, you can hear the whole title, like, you don't have to be in charge to be a leader. Fair. Okay. But you could also say that you also don't need to learn how to do math, adding and subtracting in order to get a multiplication table right. You probably could. But the building block is the subtracting and adding before you can move on to your division and multiple tables. And I feel it's the same way with management. Managers, by default, become leaders because they're put in the position to lead, but they are managing processes, customer service, people, hours. So I don't interchange them, even though I could see where somebody would like to make the argument. I don't think it holds much water, because that's where you're going, like, leaders are born and managers are made. And I don't know that that's true either. And I hope it isn't, because God knows we don't have enough leaders. So hopefully we can make them, because there isn't enough being born right now,
Yeah, I can see people in my audience nodding their head and, going right along with you. But I can also see a few going, I got to think that through. So
yeah, I'm totally fine with it. Listen, if you want to consider yourself a leader, consider yourself a leader. I am, and what I would consider myself, I would not consider myself a leader. I have some leadership qualities. I sometimes can make a pretty great decision, but I am a process engineer. I am a manager's manager. I'm like, how do we go from that place to that place to that place to that place? I mean, somebody to come up like, oh, we should just move the whole mountain over there. Good for you. I'm way down here going, okay, so let's get this truck and move this back up here. You know what I mean? I'm in the process sections. That's where I live. So
you already mentioned that you're the hands-on.
I am hands-on. Let's break it down to steps. Yeah.
I love that. Now I want to bring something else up before I get into some of the other questions. You and I were talking one time, and you said, who is the most important person in your business? And I think that's the question that you ask. And so I made some guesses, and you said no. And you gave us an answer that you think is the most important person in your business. Do you remember that?
Well, I have this conversation with everybody. For my answer is the customer.
That's what you told me.
There is nobody more important than the customer. I know a lot of people say employees are the most important. For me, I'd put employees third or fourth in the line of importance. That doesn't mean they're insignificant. It doesn't mean they're not important, but the customer takes precedence. The organization that has agreed to take on the responsibility of fulfilling the need of that customer is pretty important. Leadership, the management team, is more important. You know what I mean? Like, how do you fulfill the desires of a customer? And again, I work with end of life care. So I'm working with people who can't take care of themselves anymore. And
Yeah.
so if you're at your end of life and you're in a nursing home or an assisted living center, who would you want to be in charge of you? Somebody who says, yes, you can rely on me. Yes, I'll be responsible. Yes, I'll take care of it. Or those who said, no, don't rely on me. No, don't, I'm not, I want any responsibility. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It doesn't, again, I'm not anti-staff, but I am pro-management.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Not
'Cause I
anti-staff.
know,
I love staff, and I have both. I got to say this too, that both my parents, I grew up at the dinner table with my mom and my dad, and they hated their managers. My whole life, I don't think I ever heard my parents talk good about their bosses.
wow.
They hated them, and for good reason. And you know, when you hear the stories from from my mom and dad's side, and I've been an employee for a long time, and even as a manager, you're still an employee of somebody else's, you know, so you're still under the gun.
Yeah.
And so I've been abused. I've seen abuse. I know how easy it is. That ego takes over. My ego is ferocious. Like my ego can consume everything around it. It's not good, you know? And so I recognize that there are situations, there are people, there are managers out there that are just terrible. And my job is to make them better. My job is to go, yes, and okay, no, you do have the power. Now let's use it for good. Let's again, who are we serving? Not us. We're serving the customer. So that ego plane.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a point that I think you were bringing out in the conversation that we had is who's the most important person? The customer is, because when there's no customers, there's no need for employees or managers or leaders.
That's right.
Customers have to be there. And the customers, they answer with their feet. They walk in or they walk out.
We
used to say that in church work. You know, I was a pastor for years, and we used to say, you know, that saints vote with their feet. You know, they show up or they don't show up, and you have to keep that in mind. So,
yeah, you know, Scott, you want to hear something terrible and tragic? I'll tell you something terrible and tragic. In long-term care, that's not the truth. In long-term care, if you're in a position where you need long-term care unexpectedly, you know, you fall, you break your hip, you have to go into a long-term care center, your choices of where you're going to go to get help, rehab, stay, whatever, are very limited, very limited. And once you go, it's very hard to leave. It's not like, you know, in long-term care, we use two terms to talk about freedom or independence, like ambulatory and incontinent. Just simply means ambulatory, you can get up and move on your own. Incontinent means you probably can't, you know, without some assistance. And our customers, you know, we can treat them, this is just the God's honest truth. We can treat nursing home residents really terrible, and they can't do anything about it. It's not like they can get up and leave. Now, there are some places where they can, and some mobility and some family and some money. But for many, many customers in long-term care, they're stuck with the leadership team they're given.
Yeah.
It's a sad state.
I have quite a story about that, and I'm not sure I'll go into it right now. But my mom was in assisted living, and she was getting a lot of really great help. But then there was a hiccup that came along, and my daughter was getting married, and my mother's health was failing. And so, I did just a bunch of observation and looking around, and finally I have called a meeting with the doctor, and our meeting lasted an hour and a half. And when's the last time you ever sat at a table with a doctor for an hour and a half? I was very serious about her condition and what was going on. And what I discovered was that the communication between the staff and the nursing care and what the doctor was getting, the information he was getting, and what was really going on with her health was all confused and mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very
when
common.
I finally got the right answers to the doctor, he immediately changed some of her medications, and we got the staff in, and now the nurses interacted with the people who were cleaning her bed, taking care of her room, and all the things that you couldn't trust what she said, my mother said, because she didn't give right answers about her health. And we got everything straightened up, and you know, I turned out to be the good guy. I wasn't the bad guy, but I did call them on some stuff that they weren't doing. And so, you know, we got her in good enough health that she was able to go to the wedding. But anyway, that was just
That's very no, that and again, what you just described is one of the biggest challenges is that we, in long-term care, in healthcare, you have a lot of specialties. You know, a lot of people who are, you know, there's very few people that are 24/7. And those are the CNAs, the LNAs, the STNAs, you know, wherever you're going to call them in different parts of the country, they call them something different. But they are the eyes and the ears to the resident and, you know, to the patient, the customer. And we really need to figure out a real easy communication way for them to be able to share with the doctor who comes in, the nurse practitioner comes in, the RN that comes in, you know, because those people are not there 24/7. They're not the ones. And so it's a big challenge for all of us. It's a solvable challenge, but it's a challenge. It's
well,
common.
they got it cleared up for her at least.
Good.
And it made a huge difference.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, so before we get into the questions, you know, you and I both know that every one of your clients, prospects, decision makers, nursing home administrators are silently asking you a series of trust-based questions before they ever sign the deal for you to come in and work with them.
Yeah.
They may not say it out loud, but they're scanning for signals, looking for proof that you're someone they can rely on, collaborate with, and work alongside. And that's exactly why I created the Trust Credit Score System, a framework built around the 5 signals of trust: your vibe, your agenda and motives. Do you walk your talk? Can you actually deliver? And do you have receipts? And so today, we've already started it, but I'm putting you in the hot seat to answer some of the questions your clients are already asking, whether they realize it or not, about your professional services. So a lot of this is unscripted, and you don't all have the questions. And so I just want us to dive in. And
I'm ready.
All right, good. All right, well, I have a few questions. And
yeah.
And why don't we start off with this one? I think this is pretty pertinent. Ralph, do you really understand the pressures we're facing from compliance to caregiver burnout?
No, I don't. But I am aware of what I do know, and I'm aware of what I don't know. That is always my question that I try to, you know, I'm working with some people who are, and I'll just give you my avatar. Most of my clients are females. They are in the area between 30 and 60 years old. They are professionals. They're highly educated. They're highly motivated. And they are under an enormous amount of pressure. I'll go further and say most of them are overweight. Most of them are working way more than a normal 40-hour week. They answer their phone 24/7, 7 days a week. They eat at their desk. You know, they don't take a lot of time out for themselves. They are constantly being chased by the carrot and stick. You know,
hey,
the organization.
Hold on. It sounds like you do understand the pressures that they're facing.
Okay, so I do understand them. I do understand them. But I've not been literally in their shoes, where I haven't had a resident family member on one side demanding this and the organization demanding that, and them two things being very competing. And they have to navigate that space. I've been in that situation, just not in their particular situation.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation. I just try to keep all of that in mind because, pardon me, it just dictates or allows me to try to give a lot of grace and a lot of patience in trying to understand or explain how to navigate, because that's my job, is to help them navigate it.
I
It
like
can be
that
challenging.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that word. Okay, well that's a question that everybody's asking.
Yeah.
Maybe I should say it like this. How much of the pressures we're facing do you understand?
I
And
understand a
so,
lot of them. Yeah, I do
yeah,
understand them. And the reason I brought up the overweight thing, just to be clear, is because it is a tell. It is a tell how much stress you're under. It is a tell. I've been
yeah.
hugely overweight myself, been under a lot of stress. I actually, truck drivers, I just learned this a couple of years ago, but truck drivers on average gain 15 pounds a year as truck drivers
Wow.
because of how stressful driving is, right? Like the more stressful your job, the more you start wearing it, you know? And
Yeah.
so I think it's very common. And I think when I meet a new client and they're a little overweight, I'm like, yep, okay, let's figure out how we can reduce some of this stress.
Let's bring this home.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can just say how much you want to go on this. You got pretty heavy,
yeah.
and then you made a real decision to lose some weight. But how heavy were you?
350 pounds.
350,
350.
350.
Yep. And so listen, so I'm in management. I am a DTM, which is a district training manager for a management company. I literally have my dream job. I work for an organization, a management organization, and I'm in the position of training new managers. Loved it. I mean, loved it. And I'm 350 pounds, which should tell you I'm under a huge amount of stress. There's a
Hmm.
lot riding on these new managers. And by the way, new managers suck. They're really not good. They struggle with ego, just like me. I mean, I'm no different. I got fired 5 times as a manager. Okay. So
Wow.
just to be on the right page here, I'm not like, oh, I'm all perfect. No. I've gotten fired so many times as a manager. When the next time people are like, hey, do you want to be in charge? I was like, I don't think you want me in charge. You know what I mean? Like, I'm probably not the greatest at being in charge because of that stupid ego. Like, it's so, anyway.
Well, then you
So,
you lost your weight kind of in tears. I mean, when
yeah,
I met you, you were nowhere near 350
yeah,
pounds.
yeah.
And
I
so
lost about
apparently you
100
lost a
pounds. Yeah,
bunch and then
yeah.
you
And then
lost some
gained it
more.
back. And then, yeah, a little yo-yo here and there. Anyway, so at my heaviest, I was 350 pounds and I hated myself. And I should also tell you that I also didn't think anybody saw me as heavy as I saw me. So, if you would have asked me then, like you would have gone like, Ralph, what do you eat? You know what I would have said? I barely eat.
Yeah.
I would have, and I would have said it with a straight face. Anyway, so I read this so at the time, the editor in chief of Success Magazine. Now, mind you, I'm a management development coach. I love managing. I love being in charge. I love helping others. I love teaching. I'm reading Success Magazine on the side. Darren Hardy is the editor in chief of Success Magazine. He writes a book. Like, I can't think of the name of the book right off the top of my head, but he writes this book, and I've got to get this book because I love Success Magazine. In the opening salvo of the book, he says, let me be honest with you. If you are overweight and you're a manager, you're not any good as a manager. And I'm like, I'm not quoting him, of course, but that's like what he said. Like, nobody takes you seriously. Nobody thinks you should be in charge, right? Like, he's saying all these things. And I have a 48-inch waist. I mean, I'm 4 feet around, like, and I'm like, it hit me with a ton of bricks. I was like, son of a, because I knew he was right.
Man.
I knew he was right. I mean, everybody hates fat people. Everybody, let me say this. Everybody hates managers and everybody hates fat people. So if you're a fat manager, I mean, you're just in it, I mean, it's just terrible on all sides. And I mean, I walked away from reading that book and I was like, oh, Jesus, I got to do something here. I really got to figure this out. And, so when I finally did lose weight and I got down to like my lowest weight at the time was like 207, from 350 to 207.
Wow, that's pretty good.
the difference that people treated me. I was still doing the same job. I was still working in management development, but the respect that I got at 207 compared to the attitude and disdain I got at 350 was unbelievably shocking. And it was wild. It is wild how different you're treated at 350 than you are at 207 as a management development coach. You're taken far more seriously. And so, at some point I got to write a letter to Darren Hardy and go, all right, thank you for that. I mean, I sucked, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't enjoy that at all. But boy,
for those of you that are listening to this right now, I mean, you don't see the picture of what Ralph looked like, but he's telling the story from that side of the fence, not this side of the fence, that side of the fence.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth hearing. And I can definitely agree. I've got some good friends who were fairly heavy and lost significant weight, and it changed their self-image and who they hung out with, who they felt comfortable hanging out with. And we better not belabor all of this because we got other things to talk about. But
well, let me just say, just to put the finer point on all this, that if you're in management, first and foremost, let me say thank you, because there are not enough people who are saying, yes, I'll be responsible. And we need you. We need you in every industry. We need you in government. We need you in our churches. We need you in our grocery stores and the gas. We need you everywhere. We need you. Really, really, really. Thank you. And with peace and love, you have to be as important as you are to all of us, to you. You got to start putting yourself first.
Yeah.
That's what it took for me. I had to start putting myself first. I couldn't be as effective as I am today if I didn't start putting myself first. And you will be way more effective in your life in all areas if you start putting you first. You are worth it. Okay, go on, Scott.
Oh, my word. You know what? You're throwing out so many leadership thoughts. I mean, it's going to take us 3 days to get through this. I
have such love and mad respect for people who are in charge, who take that responsibility. I just want the best for them. And if there's anything I can do, anything I want to do, I'm surrounded by no people. I'm surrounded by them. Everywhere I look, no. Give me somebody who says yes, for goodness sake. We can conquer the world. Give me a handful of people who say yes and mean it and try earnestly to be a good manager and be a good boss. And we can change the world. Doesn't take a lot of people. Doesn't take a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of it.
Yeah.
So going to another question. Yeah. It's maybe in a little bit of the same lane. How do you handle difficult conversations about staffing, quality, or culture without causing chaos?
I get in a lot of trouble with this. That's a
landmine. I just threw that out there.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I think that there's two things to talk about, and I gotta give a shout out to Friedrich Herzberg. He wrote a book on motivation in the 1950s. And let me also say this. If you're interested in studying management theory, don't read anything that was written after 1970, including all my books. All right? Something happened in the 1970s. Now, I was just born in 71, so I don't know exactly what happened. But managers got super soft, and they've only gotten softer, as the decades have gone by. But if you read management theory books like by Peter Drucker or Friedrich Herzberg, they'll change your life. I mean, amazing. Anyway, so Friedrich Herzberg, he talks about the difference between, so I want to say two things about your question. Let me skip Friedrich Herzberg for a second. Let me just handle your question head dead on. I don't think most people have staffing problems. We hear short-staffed all the time. In healthcare, it's short-staffed, this, short-staffed, that. But I don't see a short-staffed problem. I see a process problem. And the reason I get in trouble is because I will pose it to my clients. I will say, hey, Scott, how many staff do you take to do this unit? And you'll say, we use 5 CNAs. I'm like, great. What would you do if 2 called out and they didn't give you a warning, like just last minute they called out. And their answer is always the same. It's predictably always the same. And their answer is, we would call somebody in. We'll call in extra staff. We'll make managers work. We'll make people stay. We'll try to incentivize them, you know. And I'm like, okay, let's say, for instance, that you called in a couple of people and they said, yes, they'll come in and cover for the 2 people who called out. How long is it going to take them to get there? 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes? And they're like, no, an hour. I'm like, an hour? Of course, if you're lucky, right? So what are you going to do for that hour when you only have 3 people? You're supposed to have 5. And they're like, well, we'll try to get somebody else. I'm like, see, the answer is you should adopt your job routine to the number of staff you have. It's a process problem, not a staffing problem. Imagine if we had a job routine. This is your job routine if there's 5 people. Oop, take one. Here's your new job routine. Now it's 4 people. Oop, take one. Here's your new job routine. It's 3 people. It's a process problem, not a staffing problem. You see?
Yeah. And that makes sense. It's almost mathematical.
Yeah.
Engineered. You know, it's a process.
Yeah.
But you have to think it through. And I find a lot of people don't think things through.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thinking it through and writing multiple job routines, it's work. It takes effort. There is no shortcut. You literally got to sit down. You got to walk the units. You got to be a CNA. You've got to be a CNA. Yeah. You've got to be a cook if you're going to do it in the kitchen. You've got to, you know what I mean? You have to know the processes. Walk it through, because you can't get everything done on time. You know, one of the biggest lessons I learned in kitchens, I worked in kitchens for a long time, is it's all about, when it comes to food preparation, it's all about time and temperature.
Yes.
If the stove is running hot, you got to keep that food in less time. If it's not running so hot, you got to cook it longer. That's all it is. It's time. And the same thing with job routines. I don't care what the job routine is. All right, less staff. This might take us a little longer. Okay. Right. We're still going to get everything done. Right. Peace and love.
Yeah.
What I want to say about Frederick Hertzberg, though, is he has changed my life. He has this thing he calls hygiene. He refers to about hygiene. And just to talk about hygiene as hygiene, when your mom, you know, your dad, you get raised. My parents were, you know, big on washing your hands when you get out of the bathroom, to wear clean underwear, to take a shower or a bath every day, you know, brush your teeth, floss your teeth, comb your hair, you know, don't go out looking like that, you know. Hygiene, it's good for you. Can we agree?
Yes.
Yeah. But you can also probably agree, it doesn't matter how well of a job you do brushing your teeth. It's not going to help you run a marathon. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. So hygiene's good for you, but it doesn't make you a high performer. That's the same thing with employees. Hygiene in management theory, again, this is Frederick Hertzberg, not Ralph Peterson, but I totally agree. I just want to give him credit because I didn't come up with it, but I wish I did. Again, I wrote management books after the 1970s. Don't read books after the 1970s if you're interested in the science of management, because it's the best book. But if you are going to read a book, read a Nosebleed. Hygiene in management is PTO time, bagels on Monday, blue jean Fridays, health insurance, annual cost of living adjustments for your pay, clothing allowances, gift cards, holiday parties. All of it is hygiene. It will not make your employees into high performers.
That's good. That's a good way to look at that. I like that.
Yeah, it's good for them. It's good for you as an organization. It helps build a nice organizational culture. But it doesn't move the needle. And in fact, I would take it one step further. So when I think about organizational culture, I think culture is, there's only 2 foundational cultures that managers are in charge of. And you can tell either managers are good at managing or they're not good at managing by the foundation of their culture. And it's 2 simple things. Either you have a safe culture or you have an unsafe culture. That's it.
That's good.
But I will also tell you that if you have a safe culture, the number of hygiene things that you need to give away to employees is very small. Very small. You don't need to
Because
give them.
they're not so dependent. They're not codependent.
No, because it's a safe environment they want to be in. At the same time, if you have an unsafe culture, you have to do everything to convince people to stay. I worked in a nursing home, this nursing home company here in New York. I won't mention them, but I've seen some of the worst operations ever in long-term care with this company. And this kind of one of the downfalls of my job is, as you grow up, I mean, Scott, we're in our 50s, isn't it sometimes a little disconcerting how much we understand? You know what I mean? Because like when you're younger, you kind of had your head in the sand and you didn't really see the full picture. And now that you get older, you start seeing the full picture and you're like, oh my God, really? There are people who operate
it's not
like
down
that?
the road now. It's
I
right
know
here.
it's right here. And you're like, it breaks your heart. Anyway, so I don't even have to tell you whether or not they're a good operator or not. I'll just tell you what they had to do to get staff. They had to recruit from New York City. This is an upstate, so there's like a 5-hour bus ride. They had to buy a bus to drive people to the building from New York City, back and forth. They had to start paying the same day. So I'll pay you $25 an hour, and I'll give you the $25 an hour today for the day that you work.
Wow.
Wait, if you stay your whole shift, I'll also give you a $25 Visa gift card as a bonus and free lunch. I'll give you, you don't have to bring, I'll buy you lunch every day. You can just have lunch in the center. Now, let me ask you a question. Is the leadership team providing a safe environment or an unsafe environment?
That doesn't seem very safe to me.
No. That's an unsafe environment. When you have to overgive to get people to work for you, that's your sign. That's your sign that you have a very unsafe environment. And who's in charge of safety? Managers. So managers are not doing what they need to do. And by the way, managers need to do one simple thing to create a safe environment, and that is just simply to adhere to the values of the organization. The values of an organization are the rules of the road. And by the way, let me back up and say it like this. Let me draw you a little visual. If you were to draw a road with an X at the end, so the X at the end is the vision. That's where we're going.
Yeah.
The road that leads to it, and by the way, in this little image I'm trying to draw for you, there's only one road. There's not multiple roads to this vision because it's your vision, right? Your organization's vision. There's only one road. That road is your organization's mission. And you know that if you stay on this road, if you stay on this mission, you will eventually get to your goal, that vision of yours.
Right.
My mission is to provide really great care in this nursing home. And our vision is we want to be the #1 rated in the country. Which, by the way, those are my clients. All my clients want to be #1 in the country. Not #1 in the town, not #1 in the state. The country is so great. I work with some of the greatest people. But I've worked with some of the worst. So, yeah, that's my dichotomy. So, do you know if you stay on this road, you'll eventually make that vision? What a great thing, right? Well, with all roads, there are rules. And there are rules for the road because we don't want two things to happen. We don't want you to fall off the road because if it's a sharp turn coming up and there's no sign that says sharp turn, you might go off. You might veer off the road.
And there are sharp turns. There are sharp turns.
Yeah, of course. And you might veer off the road. You might get hurt. That's not good, right? But for an organization, you know what's worse than that? What's worse than you falling off the road is you getting in an accident on the road, because then you stop everybody else from being able to travel that road. You block that road up. And then you're like, wait a minute, we can't even go anywhere now because somebody blocked up the road. So in real life, we have what we call police officers, and their job is to make sure you follow the rules of the road. That is what managers do, except instead of rules, it's values. So our values are professionalism, teamwork, compassion. So if I'm walking around my center, my organization, and I see somebody using foul language or refusing to help somebody out, it's my job as the manager to go, hey, that's not how we act here. That's not, no, our values are this. And then you want to work here, I need you to maintain these values so we can stay on this road together.
Man, Ralph, I just saw some people pick up a pen and write down a bunch of notes.
Draw this road. You should be. And now, let me go further now. Think about it like this. I live just outside of New York City. And still, 2025, this sounds so stupid that in 2025, I remember when I was a little kid, I grew up in Vermont, so very hickish. I never saw like, like street walkers until I moved to New York City. I was like surprised. I was like, gee, I thought that was just on HBO. I thought it was a lot. Anyway, like a hick. Anyway, there are still, even in 2025, there are streets where you don't want to drive down at night and you don't stop at a stop sign. You don't come to a complete stop at a red light. You roll up your windows and lock your door even in the summer. It's not safe for you.
Yeah.
That is what it's like in an organization where the senior leaders do not adhere to the values of the organization, the standards, the rules. Don't hold everybody accountable. We have no call, no shows, and people calling out, and people not following the rules or doing like the basic.
And we've all been in those.
Yeah,
and we hate them.
You hate them.
It's not safe. Where there's anger and
yes. Yeah. It creates a unsafe work environment. And then I'm like, well, listen, if you want me to stay, you got to give me more money. You're going to buy me coffee every day. I mean, you want me to pay for my own gas? That's ridiculous. I'm not coming here for that.
And that's an unsafe place. Yeah.
It's an unsafe environment completely because of management. And so we're getting into this dangerous place in our conversation. So let me just come out with it. Yes, I am 100% pro management, and I expect a lot more from you. That's it. So you're like, well, you don't sound all that pro management. No, I am. And I know what it's like to fail as a manager. I know it was always my fault. It's always my fault. Every time it's not my fault.
Okay, so I now have to throw something in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just.
I'm sorry. I'll talk too much.
No, that's okay. You set the trap, and that is, so where does a trust credit score come in holding the management accountable? How does that work, Ralph? I mean, is that a tool that resonates with you? Tell me about that.
You called me one day. A little inside baseball. Scott and I have been good friends for a while. I don't even know where I was. I think I was in like Washington, D.C. or something. I don't know where I was. But you called and you said, I think I have this great title. And you said, can I trust you? And I remember I was like, oh my gosh. It's like the question I couldn't believe. I was like, how come I never thought of that? I'm so jealous. I want that as a title. Because you're so right. It is the underlying question. It's the underlying question that my dog asks of you.
Yeah.
When you come into the door, he's sniffing you, not because he likes your perfume. Can I trust this guy? Who is it? He can smell it on you. It is. That's why I was so excited that you asked me to write the foreword, which, by the way, I wrote it about a nurse named Donna. It was when I first worked I got my first job in long-term care. And she put it to me that can I trust you is the very question all nursing home residents, anybody going to the hospital, getting in an ambulance, anybody in a medical crisis, and somebody comes to their rescue, they're only going, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Are you going to make it okay? Are you going to make it okay? Mind blowing when she told me that. And that's what I shared in that in your book. And that's the forward. The trust credit score in understanding that everything starts from a safe environment. And there is nothing good that comes out of an organization if the foundation is not good. If the foundation of trust isn't there, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, as I was listening to you, you were talking about the managers and when they're not doing with their job, it brings up that question. Do you bring, and you've already answered it, but do you bring honest, evidence-based insight, even if it's hard to hear when you go into a nursing home and you're talking to that leadership of those managers? Do you bring that honest evaluation and say, let me tell you where you're at and it's not all good? Do you do that?
I do. Actually, I got to tell you that I am, again, blessed to work with open people who, managers, we get slung at all the time.
Okay, I want you to go ahead and drill down on that a little bit, because if they're not open, you can't help them. So Talk about that. How do you get them open?
Well, I'm going to tell you how I have found, and it's not how I intended. Because to be quite honest with you, if I had my way, I would be able to talk with you in peace and love. And I would use turn of phrases like, I invite you to consider. And, like seriously, I would be like, I want to be very delicate. I want to convince you. I want to talk you into it. I want to show you that maybe you're not seeing it the way that others are seeing it. Let me try to show you. But I'll tell you what works. That doesn't work as much as me going, because I'll get pushback. I was just in a nursing home, working with a home, and I'm working with their whole leadership team. And we'll get up into these scenarios where they'll go, well, what do you about this? And what if they say that? And what they want me to say is, oh, you can have a pass on that then. I mean, if somebody's going to be rude to you, then you can go ahead and be rude back. Or if somebody said they're going to do something and then they do it, you're right, that's not your fault, right? That's what they want me to say. Yeah. And I don't bite. Instead, I go, yeah, it's on you. Well, I'm supposed to look at everything? Yeah. So I have to see everything. Yes. Well, how am I supposed to do that? I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about how you can do that. Well, I'm doing this. Well, why are you doing their job? Stop doing their job. Did we promote you? Like, let me say this. I have 5 rules for managers. Can I go over my 5 rules?
Please do.
Okay. I have 5 rules for managers. Rule number 1, managers are not allowed to walk by trash. If I see a manager walk by trash, I'm going to write them up. Right? I mean, it's pretty basic. And matter of fact, let me say this too. Most managers, or at least all the managers I know, probably got promoted because they were the type of people who didn't walk by trash. You know what I mean? They were already those kind of people. Like, all right. Like, yeah. You see somebody pick up trash and they're not a manager. You're like, hey, you want to be in charge? You know what I mean? Like, that's a nice, it's kind of like one of the signs. Rule number 2, managers have to dress professionally, or at the very least, you don't have to dress professionally, but you at the very least have to stand out. I should be able to walk down the street and know that that's a police officer. I shouldn't have to guess. Are you a police officer? Are you a police officer? Are you a police? I should walk into a hospital and go, that's a nurse. I should be able to walk in like, that's a doctor, right? You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm a manager in disguise.
Exactly.
I don't really know.
I should be able to walk into a nursing home and be able to tell that that's the person in charge of the nursing home. That's the administrator. And that's a housekeeper. I should be able to see what a housekeeper looks like. Right? So not professional, but stand out.
Right.
As a manager, you should be able to stand out. By the way, I have this great picture of these 2 workers at Best Buy, and they're wearing the same uniform. It's a blue pullover with a little collar and khaki pants. One is tucked in with a belt and pressed. The other is hanging out his pants down. And I walked up and I go, are you a manager? He goes, no, I'm an assistant manager. I knew. Same uniform. You could tell, not even close. Okay. So dress so you stand out. Rule number 3 is managers have to be on time. That's a tough one for so many reasons. Most notably because I'll tell you that my wife, who I love, will try to get me to run errands in the morning. And I'll say, I can't, I'm going to be late. And she'll say, but you're in charge. You can be late. Yeah. Don't listen to your spouse. That's what I'm saying there. Or your kids or But being on time is very hard because when you're in charge, nobody's looking at you. You think nobody's looking at you. So you can, if I'm 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, I'm probably going to stay late anyway. If you're late and you're one of my managers, I'm writing you up. Let's just be clear. Do not.
You're setting
terrible example.
Yeah, you become somebody's excuse.
That's right.
For being late when the manager was late.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an issue with being late.
Me too. Rule number 4 is, this one's only for managers, and this is for the manager's good. They have to get all their work done. And by get all their work done, I mean get all their work done while they're at work. Don't bring it home. Don't be on your computer while your kid's doing Little League Baseball. You know, you're out there on your laptop. Oh, is he up yet? Okay. Like, no. Yeah. No. Get your work done at work. And I'm going to tell you, managers, every manager I've ever worked with who is not able to get their work done at work is not because they have too much work. It's because they're too busy doing other people's work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got to nip that. Got to nip that.
Yeah.
A lot of people have an open door policy. I say, shut that door. I could not be more against an open door policy.
Yeah, me too.
Rule number 5 is you have to be visible, which is the opposite of an open door policy. An open door policy is a lazy manager's way of trying to fool everyone that they are available. Not on my watch. I have what they call an empty chair policy. That means every 60 minutes or 90 minutes, I'm going to set a timer on my phone every 69 minutes. Timer goes off. I'm out of my chair. That's when my door is open. You look, oh, Ralph's not there. Where is he? He's walking the units. He's meeting with staff and residents. He's out there. You do that 3, 4, 5 times a day. You be visible. You out there serving and supporting your staff. That's how you win. Not hiding behind your desk going, my door's open if you ever need anything. Get out of here. Lazy.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
False. It's a false positive.
Yeah.
All right. So here, okay. 5 rules. Those are pretty easy, right? Don't walk by trash. Don't walk by trash. Dress professionally. Don't be late. Get all your work done and be visible. Now, can we agree, Scott, that these rules should be for everybody? I mean, for employees too. I mean, is there an employee you don't want to dress professionally?
Seems to me like that would be a company policy, a company.
Seems easy enough. Seems easy enough, right?
Yeah.
However, I'm going to make one small caveat, and this is what gets me in trouble to everyone I work with. Everyone. When I say what I'm about to say, everybody thinks I'm crazy. Everybody says I'm wrong. They discount everything I've said up till now. Like I've come up with a couple of things. Here it comes, audience.
Here it comes. He's about to say it.
I've come up with a couple of good things, and some people might have taken some notes. They're like, oh, this guy's pretty brilliant. I'm going to say something, and they're going to go, screw this guy. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But I guarantee, for some people, it won't take that long. But for others, it'll take weeks, months. I'll get a card. I'll get an email. I'll get a note. Like, oh, yeah, you were right. Okay, so it takes a little bit. Here it is. I'm going to make a small little change to rule number 1. Ready? Rule number 1 is managers are not allowed to walk by trash. And they're not allowed to pick it up. And in fact, if I saw a manager pick up trash, I would write them up. Thoughts?
So what's the solution?
You tell me. What would happen if you literally are not allowed to walk by trash and you're not allowed to pick it up? I know some people are like, well, I guess I'm just going to work here. Somebody get me a chair. I'm just going to sit next to this piece of paper because I'm not allowed to walk by or to pick it up. I mean, other people who try to be cute, they're like, well, I'll just kick it to the, to the office. Nobody will see me pick it up, right? But what's really what I'm asking you to do?
It means that somebody else didn't do their job. And so they're calling them out and they're saying, I need somebody, clean up on aisle 7.
The point is that a manager's job is not to pick up after other people. A manager's job is to make sure other people pick up after themselves. The only time that I would allow a manager to pick up trash is if they dropped it. Or if nobody else was around. Or if they saw a customer drop it, because I'm not expecting the customer to keep my place clean. But in long-term care, in my industry, in nursing homes, it doesn't happen in hospitals, doesn't happen in doctors' offices, it doesn't happen at the dentist's office, doesn't happen at Walmart, doesn't happen at Walt Disney World. I've been in all of these businesses. I'm telling you, this is unique to nursing homes. Employees just throw trash on the floor. They literally leave it. Yes, it's wild. It is so disrespectful and disconcerting. And managers, by far, I'm talking people who have master's degrees, PhDs in healthcare administration, bending over and picking up after staff, don't have the intestinal fortitude, the guts to actually be in charge, to say, pick this up. Because you know what's going to happen if I ask somebody to pick it up or tell somebody to pick it up? You know what they're going to say? Why don't you pick it up?
Yeah.
I didn't drop it. You didn't see me drop it. Why am I having to pick it up? And what is the answer? What is the answer?
That's part of your responsibility.
It's not part of their responsibility, though.
What is the answer then?
Yeah, see, now we're actually getting to the root of the problem, because the answer is, I don't know if they dropped it. If I saw them drop it, that'd be one thing. But what if they really didn't and they just happened to be walking by me and they too saw the piece of paper? And here I am. What am I, all high and mighty? What am I, too good to bend over? What, is there something wrong with your fingertips? You can't pick it up? And let's also add that in long-term care, nursing homes, and healthcare, we don't even know what that is made of. There could be poop on it, blood on it, some virus. I mean, trash on the floor could be, the opposite of clean.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
So if you're finding yourself, let me just state this. If you're finding yourself walking onto a nursing unit and seeing a piece of trash on the floor, let's just pause and just realize that we've already made a mistake and we need to correct the mistake. And what is the mistake that we have made? We have not done a good job setting the standards. Had we done a good job setting the standards, there wouldn't have been trash on the floor. But now there's trash on the floor and we have to do a reset. Fair? Make sense?
Yep.
So the way that I would do it is I would tell all my managers, I say, okay, look, we have a trash on the floor problem. And I'm going to guess and say, none of you have come in early, stayed late, worked Saturdays and Sundays when it wasn't your Saturday and Sunday to work, all this time just so you could finally get a leadership position so that you could pick up after these employees. Is that what you wanted to do? Everybody's like, absolutely not. We hate them too. I'm like, okay. They don't hate them. They hate that there's trash on the floor. I say, okay, let's do this. For the next 2 weeks, I want every one of you to pick up every piece of trash on the floor with one caveat. You have to be seen doing it. So if somebody's got their back to you and you see a glove on the floor or a piece of trash on the floor, clap. If somebody turns around like, oh, hi, just want to grab this piece of paper. You have to be seen doing it. Now, some managers are not going to last 2 weeks, but, God bless them. At the end of 2 weeks, after you have made sure everybody is seeing you pick up trash on the floor, I give you permission to call a huddle and lose your mind. Because now what have you just done? You've gained credibility, right? Now you're going to your whole team, go, look, every single one of you have seen me walk on this unit picking up trash every day for the last 2 weeks. I'm tired of it. The next time I come up on this unit and there's a piece of trash on the floor, I'm writing all of you up. I don't care. This is not the standard we are living by. This is not the place that we're going to be doing this. Our values are you drop it, you pick it up. And if you drop it and you don't realize you dropped it and you're walking by it, you give somebody else grace. They must not have thought, they must not have seen that they dropped it. Give them a little grace, pick it up for them. But if I come on this unit and there's a trash on the floor, you're all getting written up because that's not acceptable on. You see what I just did? You see what I just did? I became the leader. I set the example. If you find yourself in a situation where you're not comfortable with going, hey, I need you to do this for me, one or two things have happened. Either one, you've made the mistake. You never set the standard in the first place, which happens, especially if you're coming in as a new manager and there's always been trash on the floor, like son of a gun, I got a lot of work to do here, right? Or number two, you do not have the intestinal fortitude to be a manager. And I say that with peace and love. If you cannot tell somebody, if you cannot have difficult conversations with difficult people, you cannot be a manager.
Yeah,
I don't care.
300%.
I don't care how long you've been at the work. I don't care what you think you've earned. I don't care the degrees you have. If you cannot have difficult conversations with difficult people, please take another role.
Yeah.
You are an ineffective manager. You're causing a less than safe environment as a result. I don't remember what your original question was, but I hope I answered it.
Yeah, you did. You did. And we're gonna wrap it up. Audience, have you heard leadership today? And have you heard about management today? Oh my word. Thank you, Ralph. This has been a great episode of going into the grassroots of where business and life is really happening. Listening to a leader and a manager who understands those roles and is not willing to slip it off, but to own it and go for being the best and winning awards because we're the best. And to be the best, you have to step up. And you have to take ownership of responsibility, blah, blah, blah. So this has been so good today. I love this, man. I want to thank you very much. Now, I mean, you've said a lot of things. Is there any last thing that you want to say before we wrap it up? Is there any last thing you want to say to our audience?
Well, we're just talking about being the best. I just want to remind everyone that your customers wish you were better as a manager, and your staff wish you were better. Your spouse wishes you were better. Your kids wish you were better. Your neighbors wish you were better. You wish you were better. Deep down, I talk a good game, talk a great game, but I struggle with it too. I struggle with being in charge. I struggle with communication. I struggle with being impatient sometimes. I struggle with, wanting to do it myself, just sick and tired of the, constantly having to remind people and tell people, I too suffer from the plague that says, oh, micromanaging is bad. Micromanaging is not bad. I know, I too want to throw myself on the floor and say I shouldn't have to, even though I know my whole job as a manager is I have to,
Yeah.
that's the job that you are signing up to have to, right? So I just want to say that, if I could leave you with anything, you're going to be way happier, way more successful than your wildest dreams if you just continue to strive for excellence. Just be better a little bit today than yesterday, and a little bit tomorrow than today. And thank you for
2%
showing
every
up.
day,
Yeah.
2% every day. There's a phrase that I've heard many times, not once or twice, not occasionally. I've heard this many times. When there is somebody on the team, whether it's in leadership, management, or staffing, and they're not living up to par, they're failing the trust credit score and their responsibilities and what they're supposed to be doing. And the manager calls them in and says, hey, we really gotta, you need to work on a few things. Well, what in particular? Well, just step up your game a couple of places, and it's never really specific. And then they'll do it again, 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 and then something atrocious will happen, and maybe that is the stick that broke the camel's back, and they'll fire them and let them go. And what do all the employees say, almost in unison as a choir, a symphony? What took you so long? And so what I'm hearing you say is be a manager. That's your job. And the people will thank you for doing it. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is exactly right. Be strong, make good decisions, and make decisions even if they're not good. You know what I mean? Sometimes people just get caught up in wanting to make the perfect decision. Make small decisions, low impact decisions. So, okay, let's try this. Okay, well, we didn't make such a big commitment that we have to change anything. We can just make adjustments as we go. It's super, super important to, I just had a kid, he wasn't even a kid. I was surprised how old he was. He's like in his 30s, and he reached out and asked if he could have a conversation with me because he got his second performance improvement plan. And he's a manager, and he's telling me the story about all this happened. And he's like, and I just don't know, like I tried this and I was the only one to come up with a plan. And I was like, hold on. I said, do you not understand why you're getting a performance improvement? He goes, no, I don't. He goes, I said, because they don't trust you. They don't trust you to do the right thing. They don't trust you to follow through. You're clearly like, I came up with the checklist. Well, did you make sure people are following the checklist?
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, that's the whole. The job is not creating the checklist. The job is having the intestinal fortitude to make sure the checklist is being filled out. That's the management piece. Anybody can write a checklist.
Yes. Move the needle.
Move the needle. Move the needle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that very much. Well, Ralph, I want to thank you very much for being our guest today. And if you run a nursing home or you run several nursing homes, then this is a guy to contact. Give him a call. How can people get in touch with you, Ralph? What's the best way for them to find out, get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way is just going to my website, ralphpeterson.com. Go to ralphpeterson.com. All my information is there. And can I plug one little thing?
Yes.
I created, well, here, let me open this up. I created a thank you card. This is a book. Managers are, there's a Happy Bosses Day, which is in October, by the way. But managers are very unlikely to get a Happy Bosses Day card. Managing is a very thankless job. So if you have a manager in your life, if you have a bunch of managers in your life, I invite you to consider buying them this little book. This book is a thank you card. It's a little short story about the first time I got thanked as a manager. It changed my life. And in the end, there's 35 reasons to thank a manager. I list out all the reasons to thank a manager in this book. Because did you know that Hallmark ranks management cards, Happy Bosses Day, 39th? I can't name 38 other holidays, yet a Happy Bosses Day card reached 30. You're 3 times more likely to get a Happy Divorces Day card than you are a Happy Bosses Day card. Like, that's insane. Anyway, if you go to ralphpeterson.com, there's a book section. You can go and check out all my books, including this one. And it's called Thank You for Leading, which, by the way, I have a Substack, a weekly newsletter called Thank You for Leading. Go to thankyouforleading.com. It's free. Sign up if you're interested in management tips and tricks and stories and all that. That's me.
And you've got other books. He's got other books, folks. Go to Amazon.
Ralph
Peterson. You're gonna find.
Yeah, Amazon. You can get it at Amazon, Barnes and Noble. If you want them directly from me, go to ralphpeterson.com. All my books are there. Even my children's books. I have children's books out. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, thank you very much for being with us today. We deeply appreciate it. And for those of you, our guests that are listening to this, I hope you will listen to it again and again. I actually hope that you will bring some of your people in and say, you need to hear this guy. You need to listen to this podcast, because Ralph has offered a lot of great stuff today that I think you can take home. As we would say, you can take it to the bank and cash it. It will work for you. So I want to thank you just for being at the Change Energizer podcast. And I hope you enjoyed today's edition. And, you may be sitting out there and thinking, I'd like to be in the hot seat. I think I could crush the hot seat. And you're absolutely right. So give me a call. You can go to calltheenergizer.com or go to my website and book a call with me, and let's talk about getting you in the Change Energizer hot seat. Or you've got something coming up at your company and you need a speaker, and you'd like for me to come in and do this presentation and put somebody at your place into the hot seat and energize your people to elevate the trust culture. We'd have a great time. So get in touch with me, and we'd be happy to visit with you. Thank you so much for being here, Ralph. Thank you for being with us. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk soon.